Hi, everybody. This is the next session with Jan, and we're going to hear right now how her week has been. Like to tell us, Jan?
Hi, Elana. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. It's been an interesting week. I find that after my session, I'm very relaxed. I feel lighter. And then it's usually that way for a day or two. And then all of a sudden, the things I was dealing with, some other things come up. So I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having hot flashes at night, which is kind of unusual for me. So it's, being awake most of the night. So, but anyway, that being said, last week we worked on my mother's death and the events. Kind of, I guess the last time I saw her, and it's interesting. We flipped the memory of me sitting at her kitchen table on my way to work, and I was eating saltines.
Right.
And we started with me feeling really sad that this was going to be the last time I'd see my mother, and that I was having this granddaughter that she always wanted, and just feeling sad about it. And we ended it with her teasing me about my diet being nasty saltines, and me shaking it at her, just shaking the saltine at her, laughing. And so I feel some emotion. It's probably a 1. We moved to my cousin's my cousin's husband coming over to tell us that my mother had died, and we were to go to my father's house, and the shock, saying, well, Larry, that wasn't funny, And I've tried to go back and relive that, but it's really strange. It's like I don't have a picture here, but like taking a photograph. I'm trying to focus on this picture, and it's going like this.
Wow.
I can't get it to hold still. And so I think the emotion of that is probably a 1. Then we went to being at my father's house. I called and got some volume for him. Then I started calling my mom's family, and 7 members, excuse me, sister on the road. I had to call Highway Patrol. Well, we flipped it to where my brothers each had a cell phone. Actually, we all 3 had cell phones. That was 42 years ago. So I was laughing about how big they were, with the antenna. But anyway, we all had modern cell phones, and they were helping me make phone calls. And it was interesting that sharing that load with my brothers and not having all that responsibility really made a difference.
Right.
And that's probably a 1. And then, waiting for my father and him coming in, looking sad, and my mom's best friend walking in with her purse and sweater. And that was really sad. And we changed it to where my mother was delayed because she had gone and bought me all different kinds of crackers to eat. And so we were laughing about that. So that's about a 1. And that's where we ended. But what happened after that was that I was having a lot of anxiety about my daughter, and how do I say it? Her way of dealing with life, having issues with my granddaughter and her dad. The way her dealing with life is to go home, put a movie on, and sit there or lay on the couch with her 2 dogs. I mean, that's her escapism or protection, and she's very introverted anyway. So she doesn't communicate with me. We don't talk on the phone. We don't. This has been going on for about a year and a half that she's been back in my life. So anyway, if something bad happens, she'll text me, and if she works it out, I don't hear it. So I'm anxious all the time. And scared, nervous, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger towards her. And so I finally texted her the other day and said, I'm feeling like that you're withdrawing from me and that you're wanting me to go away. It's my feeling. And I said, is that what you'd like? Because that's what's happened before. She'll back off, then I back off, and she backs off, then I back off, and then there's nothing. No. And had offered my granddaughter's birthday parties this Friday. I said, I'll just bring her gifts by, if that's what you want me to do. Wow. I mean, I don't know where that came from, Mom. I love you. I want you in my life. This is what I do. I'm overwhelmed by life, and this is what I do to cope, And then she turned around, and I wrote to her and just said, I had realized, and I'll go into that in a minute, that I realized, feeling, Mother's Day coming up, the anniversary of my mother's death, I feel that aloneness a lot. I have felt alone my whole life. But when my mother died, it just, was devastating. And I said, I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. And she wrote back, and it's like she got it. And so she brought my granddaughter by yesterday after her dentist appointment, and let me drive her to school. And then she's asked me, I'm going to the party, and then she's asked me to pick her up from the sitter and spend the evening with her because she has a business dinner she has to go to next week. She's letting me do that,
Wow.
and it feels really good to know that I'm helping, that I'm connected with her, and, I'll write things. And I just said, I miss you. And I asked her about doing our dinners together that we did for like 3 or 4 weeks, just she and I. And she said she'd like to do that, and she wanted to start in a couple of weeks. And we did it, and she said, this is really nice. Well, we stopped doing it. So I think that'll help. And I said, if I talk to you and I hear your voice, then I know you're okay, And so anyway, and I think I had sent you an email that somehow, we don't know if it's her ex-husband, but the state's questioning why she's not paying him child support, saying that he's the custodial parent, which he's not, and her having to prove that she's paying the insurance premiums, which she is doing voluntarily. They have joint custody. So now she has to should have retained this attorney again to go to court in 2 weeks for a hearing. We don't know where it's coming from, but she's got all that on her all the time with him, plus her job that's demanding. So anyway, that just calmed me down. But I was kind of feeling like, and I feel like this quite a bit since we started the sessions because so much stuff's coming up, is that my adrenals are kind of at an 8, and I don't know what's going to set me off to where I'm going to snap at somebody. But the cool thing that happened, Elana, was that, you see if I can find my little note here. I realized, I've been trying since my mother died to stay connected to my brothers. And my father remarried immediately. And we kind of went our own way. And I realized through this week, kind of my aha moment was that that my mother was, the matriarch of the family, and my whole life, it was that she and I taking care of my father and my 2 brothers. So when she died, it was my responsibility to take over. I automatically got the tranquilizers from my dad, started making phone calls, just started doing it. Well, I'm still trying to keep my family together because that's what my mom would have done, keep the family together. But when I look back, I realized for the last 42 years that the thing that has kept my brothers, or what I have been trying to keep my brothers and I anchored together, connected as a family, the anchor has been her death. The anchor has not been her life. The anchor has been her dying and that hole that she left in our lives. And so that was really huge. And I realized that I've done sessions about my father, hitting me and my mother constantly, and my brothers hitting us constantly. There was just this constant physical abuse. And I would look to my mother while my dad's, punching me or, pinching me or pulling my hair or whatever. And I'd look to my mother to protect me. And she didn't, because he was punching her too, just kind of coming up, punching us in the arm or something. And my brothers would do it too. And I realized that my connection with my mom, my anchor with my mother, my whole life was us as victims. There wasn't the mother-daughter thing. It was us surviving, and she couldn't protect me because she was surviving too. So, the family dynamics was never a healthy one. It was always us trying to survive. And so that was kind of my aha moment. And I realized that I had passed it on to my daughter, that our relationship has been, the center of our relationship has been us both being victims. And just like my mother was not able to show me how to be a strong woman, I haven't been able to show my daughter how to be a strong woman, because I'm still that little girl that's the victim. And so that was kind of a wake-up call for me. And I'm trying to see what else I wrote down here. And with everything that she is going through, whenever she goes through something, it triggers me. Not only my mother's death and losing her, but going through 5 marriages and divorces. So I'm constantly being triggered by her stuff, just like she's triggered by my granddaughter's stuff with her dad. So anyway, it's been an interesting week. The good things, I had the opportunity, and I'm not sure how this even came about, Elana, but I think I posted something, and I grew up with 2 brothers, and I have one brother that was put up for adoption before my parents married. My father had been married and got my mother pregnant. So that child was put up for adoption, the boy. And the last one was put up for adoption. And they both found us. The younger one has 2 daughters. And I was friends with one on Facebook, friends with both of my nieces from another brother. And for some reason, one of them said something. And I've tried this one other time, and it just casually didn't work. But I posted on there that you all need to friend each other on Facebook so that you can share photos of your children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm friends with all of them, all 4 of them now. My daughter's not on Facebook. Friends with all 4 of them. And I'm posting pictures, and I'm putting their names, so it sends them the messages so that they can respond. And then my baby brother, the one that was put up for adoption, posted a picture of himself in high school. And so my older brother I grew up with is now commenting on those. And it's like my family is connecting. A cousin on my mom's side posted a picture. Or excuse me, I found her. And so I added her as a friend. And so she's making comments. And then my niece she didn't even know there were any Shapiros at all, because my brothers never mentioned them. Because when my mother died, he just left. I mean, he left town, and he's never had anything to do with the family at all. and he's never talked about them. She said, I didn't even know there were any Shapiros. And I wrote her and said, well, there's 10 guys, cousins, and 3 girls. She didn't even know we existed because he's never mentioned this. I have a half sister that my father had an 80th birthday party, and we're all in this family photo, and my niece calls me inside, and she goes, who's that woman? And I said, well, that's her sister. She didn't even know she existed.
Wow.
You know? Wow. So now these 4 girls, 2 of them are connected. They have kids close to the same age. And the other 2, they're posting pictures of each other so they can say, wow, you look like me. And I'm posting pictures of my mom so they can see their grandma they've never met, and my brother posted a picture of himself in high school because he didn't grow up with us. Right. And he looks like the other 2 that I grew up with. I mean, it's been kind of fun, and it's fun to connect my family so that these girls, I think they're like 32 through 42 years old, and they're getting to know each other for the first time.
When did all this take place?
In
the second. Okay. So, Jan, when did it happen that you connected everybody up together?
About 3 days ago.
3 days ago. Just remember, when did we work on that whole family issue?
Oh, was that our second session?
Right.
3 weeks ago, maybe?
Something like that.
And it just happened. It was, one of my nieces, the brother that was one of the brothers that's put up production, came to town, and so I met with the nieces, but I wasn't friends with her on Facebook. The other one I'd Skyped with once, but I've never connected them all together, and I've thought about it several times, and I've mentioned it several times. You all need to friend each other on Facebook so that you can share videos and pictures and things of your children. And it's fascinating to meet somebody. I know what it's been like for me to meet 2 brothers that I didn't know I had. The first one was a spitting image of me, and scary, like same haircut, scary. But to sit and see somebody who looks like you or has features of yours. Yeah. So I thought the girls would enjoy it, and they are. Wow. They're like, one of them has 2 little boys, and she's like, I posted a picture of my mom when she was about 12. Enjoy seeing how they look compared to how she looked. Right. 2 of the cousins, one has dark hair, one's a blonde. They look a lot alike. Mm-hmm. And they're always looking at the eyes, and so I'm trying to they know about their father because he just died, or their grandfather because he just died 5 years ago. They didn't know anything about their grandmother, and then when the one niece said, well, I didn't know there were any Shapiros, period. It never occurred to her, she knew all of my mother and all her family was gone. Mm-hmm. But I guess it didn't occur to her that I had all these cousins.
Wow.
So she goes, I didn't know there were any of them. Yeah. So now she's connected with one, and she has her high school, I think her graduation picture on Facebook as her profile. And so they were shocked. One of them wrote to her. They haven't connected as friends yet, but one of them wrote to her, and my cousin Marcia, and she goes, hi, Marcia. And I'm just like, my whole family's connecting, and wow. It's been fun to watch them. And if I can get them to friend each other, I think they can have a relationship. Right. And one of them I Skyped with, and it's just cool,
It's very cool. Very cool.
When he posted this picture today, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I said on there, you're the baby of the family. So you got the leftover genes from the other 2 brothers, 2 of the other 2 brothers. So he looks like both of them in high school. It's like, wow. And then I had to post my senior picture because I was like, I wanted him to see how much he looked like me.
Right.
You know, even though he's, 2 years younger. But I mean, it's been fun doing that. And then, my baby brother that was put up for adoption, his wife made a couple comments. So I just sent her a friend's request. They've been married for, oh gosh, how many years? 4? I went to visit once, 4 years. I've always thought that, I was been afraid to friend request her because I thought that, I'm always intruding in the family. I'm not wanted there intruding. She immediately wrote back and accepted the request.
Wow.
That the other niece, I, avoided, even though I met her, I've avoided, don't want to intrude, don't want to step on toes. And, kind of like with the family, with my daughter, just stay back here, mind your own business, and I requested and immediately. So now I'm connected with all of them.
Can I just remind you one thing? You said beforehand that your connection that your mom left you was her death.
Yes.
But now you're bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Yeah. It is very cool. And it just warms my heart because my younger brother that I grew up with is just distanced himself, doesn't want anything to do with the Jewish family.
Mm-hmm.
There was always a lot of shame in that part of us that was Jewish. It was always something to be embarrassed about and be ashamed of and to hide,
Right.
And I think he's probably done it more than myself or my other brother. And so when my mom died, he just disappeared. He won't have anything to do with them at all. Right. And so now all of a sudden, his girls want to know. They want to know who their family is.
Right. So it's a combination of the two sessions we had, getting rid of the death of your mother and getting rid of all the issues of not belonging in the family. And now you have both. You're the matriarch, bringing everyone together.
I know. I actually thought of that. I'm doing this. I'm bringing my family together, and I am introducing these 4 beautiful young ladies. I'm introducing them to each other.
Right.
I've met one of my brother's daughters, and I've Skyped with the other one. They have not. And so for them to find family and find, they're the closest thing that my daughter has to siblings. They're, the 2 girls that live in St. Louis. But now there's these 2 other girls, and they lost their mother when they were very young. I think they were like 6 and 9 years old. She died of cancer. And then he was put up for adoption. So he grew up with a family in California. He didn't find us until like 7 years ago. They have cousins. They have family, And so, and it's not just finding the family, it's finding these girls that look like me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Everybody's skinny and, she looks like, Grandma Myrtle and I look like her, and it's been cool. It's been cool. Yeah. So anyway, that's been fun. And,
so what would you like to work on today? What shifts would you like to see in your next week?
Well, I think, and this actually came up today, Elana, was that, excuse me, the 2 nieces that live in St. Louis, their mother was married to my brother, and she was actually, my ex-husband was on one side of me, and she was actually the person standing beside me at my mom's funeral. Mm-hmm. And so I have a connection with her, but it's sad. It's our memories, a sad event that's kept us together. And she knows how I've been ostracized by the family and the way I've been treated, because she was treated disrespectfully by my father also. So she's watched it and she experienced some of it too. So anyway, and I did, before we get started, I wanted to share something that I shared with you in an email about my biopsy, because I thought this was an interesting faster EFT thing, and I didn't realize what I'd done until after I shared it with you. But I went in to do a breast biopsy last week,
Right.
a week and a half ago, and they had told me it wasn't going to be as bad as the one I had done last year, but I was still nervous because I had a lot of pain, a lot of bruising, that kind of thing. And when I got there, it was Friday. Longer wait. I want to get this over with. Go in, you put on a gown, you go in this waiting area there with a longer wait. He was doing another one. Then they took me in a room by myself. Nurse talked to me for a while. I shared with her about the previous one. And so she talked to the radiologist, came back and talked to me and told me what happened. This is going to be different. But I still was practicing my faster EFT, release and let it go. And then I went to my last happy memory, which I've been trying to do. Instead of going to my happy place, I've been going to my last flip happy memory. Right. Did that. And anyway, she came back and said that it was going to be a little bit longer. He was finishing one, and the wait was getting longer. So now all of a sudden, my head started hurting really bad. My stomach started hurting really bad, and not helping. So for some reason, I just stood up. There was a chair across the room. I went and sat in this other chair. And then there was a weird chair in there, real high back and metal platform, like on an examination table. And it was just a very straight chair, very unusual chair. And so I got up and I sat in that chair, and I'm feeling it. And I'm going, this is just the weirdest feeling. And the nurse came in and she said, so are you bored? And I said, I just looked at her and I knew what I was doing. I said, I'm pretending like I'm bored so that I won't be scared. And she walked out of the room, and I thought, wow, what a trance breaker.
Right.
And my headache was gone. My stomach ache was gone. I was focused on this really strange chair. And so I just kept moving around the room in these 3 chairs until she came and got me. And then when we got into the room, it was very strange because, I could see him over to my right. Could see the needle in my breast, and I thought, I'm not focusing there. Over to the left was the sonogram machine. We could see what he was doing. I thought, I'm not focusing there. And I told jokes, and I gave them American history trivia. And a couple times I looked up at the radiologist, and he was smiling. And I kept thinking he's going to say, don't laugh, don't talk, you're moving, whatever. And it was almost humorous because they knew what I was doing, because they knew how nervous I was because the last one was so bad, and they just put up with me. But I talked through the whole thing, and it was just interesting. It was an interesting experience, but it was like I said, I look back now and I realize that I broke my own trance.
Right.
And it was exciting to know that I was using a technique, and it automatically came to me to do that.
Right.
Because I was afraid. So anyway, so that was my week. It's been an interesting one, and
to say
the least. And I do know, we ended with ended with my being at my dad's house and me making all these phone calls, and I feel like that I need to move on through, the next events that happened.
Okay.
And see if it'll change my relationship with my ex-sister-in-law that I love that into something, a happy connection instead of a sad one.
Right.
Excuse me. So basically the very next day we went to the funeral home, and this was an interesting experience. We talked to my father, made all the arrangements, and my two brothers and I were sitting there, and then a funeral home director took us into a basement down this long hallway, and he opened a couple of, now this is interesting, I remember this in detail 42 years later, opened these two huge solid double doors, and this room was just pitch black, and we stepped like in the threshold, and he flipped on the light, and the whole entire room was filled with open coffins. I know. All three of us just stepped back. It was like, oh my God, it was so creepy, scary. You know, if he'd open the door, turn the light on, I mean, that was the way he thought to do it. You know, that would be less traumatic, but it was just like, whoa. So my father said we were to pick out the coffin, and we walked around and it says, first one, oh, this will do. And he was like, no, you know, money's not an object, just pick out, you know, a really nice one. So we had to walk around and look, and we did. We picked out the coffin, and I don't remember anything after that. I remember what it looked like. I remember the rough, you know, the tucked in the top of it, and I think it was like a lavender or silver or something. And and that was on Monday, and then on Tuesday, then I got to go to my dad's house and pick up my mom's clothes. And that was hard, you know, because she picked out everything, underwear, bra,
right,
that she'd never worn, saw the tags on it. Don't remember exactly what it looked like, but I remember it was black for some reason. So I had to pick out, you know, her hose and her shoes and everything. And so that was hard. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, pick out your mom's last outfit.
Yeah.
And then we hadn't told my father's mother. My father moved them up from Arkansas to this little town close to us. And my mother, who had lost her parents when she was very, very young, was so close to them. She was there either for breakfast or lunch every day. I mean, they adored my mom, and my mom, they were her parents, you know. And so my father had said to not, because she hadn't seen my mom. She just knew. She knew she was gone. And so she asked. And so when we got there, my dad said, stay with grandma, you know, take care of grandma. Here I am, you know, taking care of everybody. And we walked in the door. My little Arkansas grandma took off running down the aisle, ran up to my mom, hugged her, kissed her on the mouth, patted her on the cheek, could talk to her. You know, I mean, there was so much love there. And my grandmother was so used to death. She had 3 children that died, and 2 she had prepared for herself for burial. And of course, we're all bawling because grandma just loved her, and grandma knew she was dead. So that was hard in being there. And then the next day at the funeral, it's kind of numb because it happened so quickly. And I remember being in the room, and I remember my ex-sister-in-law being on my left side, and my daughter's father being on the right. And then when the funeral was over, before they closed the coffin, and the funeral director, who had been a barber of all things, came in, and he had asked my dad about giving me my mother's wedding rings, which she'd asked about her mother's ring, because she was buried in that. And it never occurred to my dad to give them to me, but he handed it to me, and he was crying. The funeral director was crying. And that's all I remember. I don't remember going to the gravesite. I don't remember anything else. And, that was in June, and my daughter was born my dad married in October. And then my daughter was born actually a week after he married. And, I remember sitting holding my daughter, and just that overwhelming loneliness because my mom wasn't there. And every time I'd start to cry, my husband would start yelling at me. And so it was probably maybe 10 years before I sat down and had a good cry. So just the grieving, we never grieved it together as a family, So, I want to be able to look back and think of the happy times with my mom and how jolly she was and stuff like that. But I don't. I just think about she's gone,
Okay.
42 years later.
So let's go back to the beginning of this piece. Okay. Was the next day, and you're going to pick out the coffins, right? Is that the first thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Start telling it, and as soon as you get to any emotion, let me know.
I'm already there.
Okay. How strong?
It's a 10.
Okay. How do you know?
Just this overwhelming sadness.
Okay. Do you see any pictures?
I'm seeing. I'm kind of seeing us in his office, and it's such a sad occasion. It's such we're all in shock, and I don't know how much of that I took on because my father was in shock. I don't know how much of the decision making I took on, kind of became his wife, so to speak. And so I it was just that's the only way I can explain it. It was just a sad occasion sitting in the office and then going down and picking out the coffin. It was just surreal. Like, I'm not really here. I'm not really doing this. I'm not really experiencing this. This is not happening.
Okay. Where do you feel that in your body?
In my face.
Okay. Does it have a shape?
It feels like a black silhouette. It's a black silhouette of my mother.
Okay. See that? Hear it, feel it, smell it.
Sorry.
I'm going to start tapping. This black silhouette.
This black silhouette.
That I feel in my face.
Feel in my face.
All the sadness.
All the sadness.
The shock.
The shock.
The surreality.
The surreality.
And everything else.
And everything else.
The sensations.
The sensations.
The emotions.
The emotions.
The images.
The images.
The colors.
The colors.
The shapes.
The shapes.
Let it all go.
Let it all go.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
I'm doing it to myself now.
I'm doing it to myself now.
Mom's in a much better place.
Mom's in a much better place.
And she's looking down at me.
She's looking down at me.
And probably saying.
And probably saying.
In her jolly laugh.
In her jolly laugh.
Get over it, girl. It's been 42 years.
Get over it, girl. It's been 42 years.
Your daughter's all grown up.
Your daughter's all grown up.
She has her own daughter now.
She has her own daughter now.
So get over it and laugh.
Get over it and laugh.
Make me happy.
Make me happy.
You're safe.
You're safe.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Go to happy memory, whichever one you want, and say peace.
Me with my cracker. I just happen to have this little badge. It looks just like a saltine.
It does.
You know what I'm sensing is that my sadness, it's like I am there. Sadness is for my father and my brothers. That I have to be strong. You know, I took her place as the matriarch. I have to protect them. I have to be strong so that they can be sad. But I'm sad for them because of what they lost.
Do you feel that? Know how you feel it? How strong you feel it? Where you feel it? Step into it.
I think there were a couple of things that happened. Was that I didn't realize at the time when we lost our mother, we also lost her father. Because he had a girlfriend 2 months later, and 2 months after that he was married with a new family. And also I've never understood why we lost the parent who was Jewish, and we were left with the one that was anti-Semitic. And who continued to be our whole adult life. So I've questioned, why did God take my mom and not my dad? Why did he leave us with this person who hated us, who didn't want us, who wished we were dead, you know? Who beat up my brother because he looked like my uncle Sammy, and told my other brother that Hitler did us a favor.
Okay, feel that. Now you feel it. How strong you feel it.
I feel cheated.
Okay. Start tapping. This cheated feeling.
Cheated feeling.
Why did God take away the one that loved us?
Why did God take away the one who loved us?
And left us the one who hated us?
And left us with the one who hated us.
I let it go.
I let it go.
Safe to let it go.
To let it go.
It's time to let it go.
It's time to let it go.
Whatever comes into our life.
Whatever comes into our life.
Comes to teach us a lesson.
Comes to teach us a lesson.
And if we don't learn it.
And if we don't learn it.
It will come back again.
It will come back again.
And it will shout a little bit louder.
And it'll shout a little bit louder.
It's time to get the message.
Time to get the message.
Time to learn what we need to learn.
It's time to learn what we need to learn.
And let everything else go.
Let everything else go.
God decided.
God decided.
That your mom suffered enough.
And my mom suffered enough.
Was it time for her to go to a better place?
It was time for her to go to a better place.
And so he took her to that better place.
So he took her to that better place.
Where she could watch over you guys.
Over us.
In a much better way.
In a much better way.
We're all safe now.
We're all safe now.
We're all reconnecting.
We're all reconnecting.
This is what God really wanted.
This is what God really wanted.
Wanted us all to reconnect and be together.
Wanted us all to be connected and be together.
And to be safe.
And to be safe.
And we are safe.
And we are safe.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Peace. Okay. How's that cheated feeling feel?
It feels a little different. It feels like, you know, I'm the only girl in this family unit in the middle. And all I want to do is just love my brothers and love them unconditionally and keep them connected.
And you're doing that. You're doing just that.
The oldest and the youngest, the ones that were put up for adoption, never met her. They never knew her. There's something, missing in their lives. And I'm trying to keep them connected. And they remodeled the cemetery and chapel where our grandparents are buried. And the oldest one that was put up for adoption, I just wrote him the other day and told him they were doing a dedication. And I said, "Look, can we go do this? You and I and Jack can go do this."
Wow.
So just felt like that was my way of reaching out to him, which is kind of cool.
What you're doing, you're keeping the family together.
Yeah.
You're doing what you set out to.
That's the first time the oldest one grew up in a wealthy family with a lot of privilege, and I've always felt beneath him, so to speak, and kind of avoided being around him. But he's been in the family for 32 years, and never really liked being around him. So that was the first time I ever reached out to him and said, "Let's do this as a family. This is important. This is where our grandparents are, and a lot of our family is there." The cemetery is actually where Ed Asner is from, Kansas City, and that's where his family's from.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll probably be there. I never thought about that. He did a 1-minute up here. It's a fundraiser, and about 2 years ago. So he'll probably be here for this dedication.
Wow.
So anyway, it feels there's sadness, and then there's also part of it that feels good.
Yes, the feeling of sadness. You know how you feel it, how strong you feel it. Step into it, put it on that branch, don't let it roll off and roll away. And just start tapping. Don't think about anything else. Just feel your fingers, how they touch your skin. Are they cold? Are they warm? Are they rough? Are they soft? Are you pretending to be bored? Are you pretending to be busy? Let it all go. Safe to let it go. Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Feel your mother love inside your heart, where it's always going to be. Feel her strength that she's giving you to bring the family together, because she knows you can do it. She knows you're strong and you can do it. And say peace.
Peace.
Okay, go back.
What I'm feeling is that I've been trying to do this out of desperation and my own loneliness instead of out of love. And it's been, like, why can't you just come and make the sister-in-law happy? Fighting me, trying to bring the family together. I have a younger brother that we don't talk at all. And I would love to be able to, include him in all this. My niece shaved her head. Her daughter was born with cancer, and they did a fundraiser, and she shaved her head, and so her hair is the same length as mine, and she wears great big earrings. And she, on Facebook, she said her dad came in town last weekend, and when he saw her, he said, "Hi, Aunt Jan," because we look so much alike, And so anyway, I felt that connection. He acknowledged me. He normally doesn't acknowledge me at all. It's
Right.
like I don't exist. And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So, and he may not accept or acknowledge or that he's Jewish, but I do.
You feel that love inside of you someplace?
The love for him?
Any type of love. Love for your daughter, love for your granddaughter, love for your mom, the love that your mom feels for you. Okay, you know where you feel it, right?
Yeah, I actually feel it right here.
I want you to take some of that love. I want you to send it over to that brother and to the sister-in-law. And just watch it fill them up. And when you see them full of the love, every cell, every organ, every limb, and as you see it overflow out and create this aura of love all around them, I want you to take each one of them separately and bring them right into your heart and whisper something into their ear that they need to hear and that you need to tell them for a long time. Listen to something they need to tell you for a long time and that you need to hear for a long time.
I'm seeing my brother holding me, crying, saying, I just want to be accepted. I just want to be accepted for who I am. To our father, we did not make mistakes. We were mistakes. And that's, you know, when he left that one weekend, called me and said, you know, Dad said that Hitler did us a favor, that he calculated how many more Jews world a favor. And I could tell how brokenhearted my brother was. And he didn't stay with my father. I mean, he left town because of my dad. He didn't come to visit for a long time and didn't stay with him until right before he died. He just couldn't be. He said his son, who's a Jew, it's like, which one of us would you have wanted Hitler to kill? I mean, I could feel his pain. My dad said that to him, you know?
Did you ever witness that?
With me?
Or
My dad told
with
me.
him? Either
What
way,
do you mean?
did you ever hear your dad telling you?
My dad told me one time I had the Shapiro stink.
Okay, see that scene? Okay. Where does it hurt?
It hurts in my heart.
Feel it? And
In
start
my heart.
tapping. This hurt in my heart.
It's hurt in my heart.
Shapiro stink.
This what?
Shapiro
this George.
stink.
Yeah, this Shapiro stink.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it represents.
Whatever it represents.
Whoever gave it to me.
Whoever gave it to me.
I let it go.
I'll let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
It's time to let it go.
Time to let it go.
It's all about him.
It's all about him.
Not about me.
Not about me.
It's his issue.
It's his issue.
It's not mine.
It's not mine.
Unless I make it mine.
Unless I make it mine.
And I choose to take my power back.
I choose to take my power back.
Safe to take my power back.
It's safe to take my power back.
If he has an issue,
He has an issue.
that's his problem.
It's his problem.
I let everything else go.
I let everything else go.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Peace. Did you ever see the movie The Exodus?
Yes.
Do you remember a scene where Paul Newman is playing, he's a Jewish guy, and he's playing this Nazi officer? And this other Nazi comes up to him and says, "Those Jews, I can smell them a mile away." Something like that.
Yeah.
And Paul Newman looks at him and goes, "Yeah, I know what you mean." Paul Newman's playing a Jew.
Yeah, I was very anti-Semitic growing up.
Because that's the way you grew up.
I was taught all Jews were crooks and thieves.
That's what you were taught, yeah.
That's what I believed until God brought a grade school teacher into my life, a lady that taught at a Jewish boys' school in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And she just loved me. And she loaned me textbooks. And I read about the history of Israel.
Right. Okay, I want you to go back to that scene with your dad. See it? What's changed?
I know it. I know that it was about him. And I realize now it's not just the two brothers that I grew up with that I love. It's the other ones too, because he said things to them as adults also.
Okay. Go back to that scene again. What are you feeling? Is your dad still telling you ship your stink?
I'm angry. I want to just yell why. I haven't done anything wrong.
Feel the anger and start tapping. This anger.
This anger.
However I feel it.
However I feel it.
However I know it.
However I know it.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it presents.
Whatever it represents.
I forgive him.
I forgive him.
Forgiving is forgiving back.
Forgive is what?
Forgiving back.
Forgiving back.
Everything.
Everything.
That he gave me.
He gave me.
I give it all back to him. And my forgiveness.
I forgive him.
My forgiveness.
My forgiveness.
Is not for his sake.
It's not for his sake.
It doesn't hurt him.
It doesn't hurt him.
He's not allowed anymore.
He's not allowed anymore.
It only hurts me.
It hurts me.
So I choose to let it go.
Just to let it go.
Choose to set myself free.
Choose to set myself free.
I am safe.
I am safe.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Peace. Okay, go back.
I'm seeing myself handing him this big black box like you would get in an airplane. The black box from the airplane.
Right.
That's full of all the information, all the distress signals, everything that happened right before a plane crashes, right before the disaster, and I'm handing him this box.
Okay. How do you feel now?
Much, much better.
Okay.
I'm saying all of this stuff inside of here, this is all about you. This is all your stuff. I don't accept it anymore. I don't receive it anymore. I haven't been ashamed of being Jewish for years.
Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to play that scene out in front of you, just like a movie video. Okay, from the beginning till the end.
Okay.
Let me know when you're done.
Okay.
Okay, we rewound it. Now I want you to play it again, this time bigger, this time brighter, more panoramic. Come when you're done.
Okay.
Okay, rewound it again, and this time I want you to do it even bigger, even brighter. I want you to make it 5-dimensional, using all your 5 senses as if you're there right now.
Okay.
Okay, open your eyes, look around. Can you go back to the old memory?
I'm not seeing anything moving. It's like I was sitting in his vibrating chair that had a roller in it, and every time it hit a spot in my back, it made me cough. And I said it made my Aunt Sarah cough too. And that's when he said, but I'm sitting in the chair, but nothing's happening. I'm just sitting in the chair.
Is he saying anything now?
Yeah, he's saying it again, but the roller's not going. So I didn't say anything. I didn't say, This made my Aunt Sarah cough too. I didn't say anything. I'm not even coughing.
And so what did he say?
He just said, you have this Shapiro stink.
Okay. I want you to step into his shoes.
Okay.
You have the Shapiro stink. Start tapping.
Okay.
You have the Shapiro stink.
Got the Shapiro stink.
I have the Shapiro stink.
I have the Shapiro stink.
We all have the Shapiro stink.
We both have the Shapiro stink.
We all have the Shapiro stink.
We all have the Shapiro stink.
All that Shapiro stink. All that Shapiro stink.
All that Shapiro stink.
Let it all go.
Let it all go.
Safe to let it go.
It's safe to let it go.
Time to let it go.
Time to let it go.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it represents.
Whatever it represents.
I let it all go.
I let it all go.
It's time to heal that part of me.
That part of me
Doesn't serve me anymore.
doesn't serve me anymore.
Time to choose a better program.
Time to choose a better program.
One that I can hand out to my children.
One that I can hand out to my children.
And to my grandchildren.
And to my grandchildren.
And to my nieces.
To my nieces.
And to my nephews.
And to my nephews.
And to my brothers.
And to my brothers.
And to their wives.
To their wives.
I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you. Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Peace.
I'm seeing him. He's apologizing and he's saying, I'm sorry. I know this was about me. I felt guilty about getting your mom pregnant while I was married to another woman. And I understand why the family didn't want me to marry her. I understand I did something wrong. And it's all about me, everything to do with them.
Okay. How's it feel when you go there now?
Pardon?
How's it feel when you go there now?
Kind of neutral.
What would you need to do to make
I
it a
feel-
good?
I feel calmer and he feels calmer.
Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and tap as we're doing this. I want you to see him on a stage in your mind. And I want you to see him doing something that would be meaningful to him. And I want you to say to him, I forgive you, Father. Or Dad, whatever you would have called him.
Yeah.
I forgive you for all the things that you did. For all the things that you said. You loved me the only way that you knew how. You couldn't give me something that you didn't have inside of you to begin with.
Couldn't give me something you didn't have inside of you to begin with.
It might not have been very good.
Might have not been very good.
And I'm not necessarily forgiving you for your sake.
I'm not necessarily forgiving you for your sake.
But I'm forgiving you for my sake.
Mm-hmm.
Because it only hurts me to hold it inside of me.
Because it only hurts me to hold it inside of me.
So I forgive you.
Forgive you.
And I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
And I set us both free.
I set us both free.
And I want you to see him on that stage in your mind, doing that thing that he loves to do, that's meaningful to him, smiling at you and waving to you as he slowly disappears. And I want you to see yourself standing in front of these big iron doors that suddenly open up and let in the sunshine. You might want to call your brothers there too. and their families, and watch these big iron shackles fall off of your legs so you can step forward into the grass and meet your brothers and see all the flowers around you and all the birds and the grass and the sunshine and feel its warmth and feel the love between you all. And when you're ready, you can say peace. Okay, go back, look at that scene again, and see what's different.
I'm sitting in the chair and he's just talking to me.
Okay, how is that?
It feels good. It feels like that I broke something, that I'm accepting him, vast amount of insecurity that he had,
Mm-hmm.
and all of his, guilt or whatever it was he had. I mean, he did a lot of bad things.
Right.
He did a lot of things to feel guilty about, and I'm just letting him go. And what I'm sensing is that my connection with my four brothers has changed from one of grief and shame to one of love.
Good.
And that's what I've wanted all along.
Yeah.
Before my mom died. I think when my mom died, I made it into something that it wasn't. I made it into, let's all get together and talk about how much we miss mom, instead of just getting together and being brothers and sisters. And I don't have to protect them anymore. My dad's gone. He can't say the things that he would say to us.
Right.
It's gone. It's done. I didn't cry at his funeral. I wasn't sad. I was happy.
Right.
So
That's a better place, isn't it?
yeah, I think that I was thinking back, he died in November of 2009, and Christmas time came, and we had gone through the things at my dad's house before the estate sale, and I found my mom's butcher knife that I had cut my thumb on, and my dad had to come and dry the dishes because I'd cut my thumb on this butcher knife that my mom threw in the sink. But I found that butcher knife and I used it Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 35 years since my mom had gone, and I cried for 5 days.
Wow.
Not over missing my dad, but over missing my mom.
Oh.
And not having her there for holidays.
Go back to those 5 days you were crying. Can you see them? Can you see yourself?
I was pretty cranky.
Can you see yourself?
Yeah, I was a basket case.
Okay.
Hadn't cried in, like that in 35 years.
Well, he didn't let you cry, did he?
Mm-hmm.
And now you can finally cry and let it all out. Okay, go there and start tapping all that crankiness.
I like crankiness.
The basket case.
Basket case.
The crying.
The crying.
The sadness.
The sadness.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Time to let it go.
It's time to let it go.
Time to heal that part of me.
Time to heal that part of me.
I'm safe.
It's safe.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. Peace.
Peace.
And go back to that memory. Dad's just talking to you. Nothing else is going on.
we're talking about family. He's telling me about his family. He's telling me stories that he was going to. I never asked him about his childhood. I know, but I never showed interest. I didn't care about his childhood because I didn't. He made mine so miserable. I didn't care that his was miserable, which I'm sure it was.
Right. That's what he held inside of him.
Yeah. He was ashamed of where he came from. He was ashamed of his family.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
He was just trying to figure out how to make that other side of our family, try to figure out how to put them beneath him. I was actually sharing this with somebody this morning that I looked up the word haughty one day. God had told me I was being haughty. And basically, if you're here and you feel like that everyone else is here, you have no way to climb up to where they are if you have all this shame and, sixth grade education and extreme poverty and,
Right.
whatever. And, you can't get yourself up there. And so you've got to bring those other people down here. And so that's what my father did his whole life with everyone.
Right.
And I watched him do it with people. And that's sad that he felt like he needed to do that. And it was about him. Was it about my mom's family? They were all pretty close till, she was, marrying a Gentile. She got pregnant by a Gentile who was married in 1946 or 45, excuse me. Wasn't a good place to be.
Nope, it wasn't.
So they weren't very accepting of him. I mean, he did their sister wrong.
Right.
He wasn't good to her. He never was good to her. He treated her really bad. So, that was who he was. I'm feeling sad for him.
You want to get rid of it?
Yeah. He was sad. He was a sad person who hurt a lot of people.
Feel the sadness. What I want you to do is I want you to tap on him at the same time you're tapping on yourself. Okay?
Okay.
His sadness.
His sadness.
His sadness.
His sadness.
My sadness.
My sadness.
His hurts.
His hurt.
My hurts.
My hurt.
And everything else.
And everything else.
Let it all go.
Let it all go.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to fill us both.
Safe to heal us both.
Safe to fill us both.
Safe to feel.
Mm-hmm. Fill.
Fill, Fill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With self-unconditional love.
Self-unconditional love.
Just the way that we are.
Just the way that we are.
Because when we unconditionally love ourselves,
we unconditionally love ourselves.
We can unconditionally love others.
We can unconditionally love others.
And they can unconditionally love us back.
And they can unconditionally love us back.
We're all safe.
We're all safe.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. And peace.
Feels okay.
Okay, good. Because he was doing the best he could.
Okay to let his stuff be his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It feels okay to let him be sad. It was his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he grew up a certain way. And he made choices. And he made those choices to hurt people. He made those choices to do the things he did.
Right.
And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel happy about it, though.
Well, you don't have to feel happy about it,
Yeah.
but you don't want it weighing you down either.
Yeah. I still feel kind of sad for him that he felt so bad about himself that he needed to do that. And I also feel sad that he was a genius and he did not have the opportunities. He could only go to the 6th grade. He could not go further than that. He didn't have the opportunity. He got his GED when he was 65,
Right.
But he also made choices and had lots of children with lots of different women that, made his life what it was.
Right.
His carelessness did that, so.
We all make choices. That's the truth.
Yeah, I think that my sadness for him is that he didn't have the tools growing up. He very smart man, had a lot of common sense and logical, but for some reason he was just, wild, and he just had no discipline, and he just did he was just mean and did things to people his whole life. Even as a child, he was mean.
Can you shrink him down to a little itty bitty boy? Maybe 3 years old, 4 years old.
I can actually see a picture of him in overalls, bib overalls, and he had. I was thinking about him the other day. He had, what do they call that? Shoot, a child who their hair is so blonde that it's almost white.
A albino.
No. Their hair, just their hair.
Oh, ash blonde.
No, there's a name for it. Something top. Anyway, that's what he was. His hair in the pictures, his hair looked white because it was so blonde.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I can remember the picture of him. He was maybe 5.
Okay. Why don't you go over to him? And I want you to whisper something into his ear. You can hug him. You can hold him. He's just a little boy who's hurting, just like you were hurting.
Yeah. I feel really bad for him. But he didn't have what most kids do. He did not have. He had this brain. He was brilliant. People would tell him he was a genius. He had a business. He could do calculus and trigonometry, and was a tool and die maker, and had this machine shop. I mean, he was exceptional.
Okay.
But he had to do it with his hands and work a lot of hours.
Right.
In order to do what most people do with their head and sitting in an office.
Tap on him as you're tapping on yourself.
Okay.
Say, let it go.
Let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Time to let it go.
Time to let it go.
Time to love yourself.
Time to love myself. Time to love yourself.
Time to fill yourself with love.
Time to fill yourself with love.
With acceptance.
With acceptance.
And forgiveness.
And forgiveness.
You did the best you could with the tools you had inside of you.
You did the best you could with the tools you had inside of you.
And I have better tools now.
I have better tools now.
And I'm using them.
I'm using them.
Making a better life.
Making a better life.
And to help you.
And to help you.
Grab your wrist. Breathe in. Blow out. For that compassion for that little boy. He's just a lost little boy too.
He was.
Ask him if it's okay to hug him. And bring him into your heart. And just give him love. Nothing else, just love. That's what he needed most. And he never got it.
I feel like I'm supposed to go play with him.
So go ahead. Go right ahead.
That he just didn't get to play.
Go play with him. Would you like to play with him?
For some reason, I'm picturing that game that they used to play probably, I don't know, turn of the century, which was the great big wheel with a stick.
Say it again. You were cut off.
It was just a great big huge wheel with a stick, and somehow you guided the stick.
Like a hula hoop type thing?
Yeah, it's like a hoop, only it was this way, like a wheel. And you took the stick, and somehow it must have been a groove in it, in the wheel. And you took the stick, and you would hit it, and somehow you would guide it, and you could make this wheel just go everywhere.
I saw pictures in movies. I never actually seen it though. So
yeah, and everything, like when we were kids, he would make toys for us out of wood because they couldn't afford any toys. It was homemade. And so I kind of pictured that somebody made him one of these. I don't know why. But anyway, we're out in the yard playing with it. And I'm an adult and he's the child. And, you know, I remember him saying he was probably 4 years old and get up on winter mornings and have to go out and gather up firewood when he was like 4 or 5 years old. So he would have been that age. And he was working and probably no shoes.
Right.
You know, in the snow. So he started working when he was very, very young, so he didn't get to play. So I feel like
we're giving it to him now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that he's feeling it.
Yeah, I think that he never got to play. I never got to play or laugh as a child. Everything was very serious.
You see him laughing?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Yeah.
So when you think back to him now, how does it feel?
It feels good because I feel like that as we're playing, I'm telling him that he doesn't have to stop to go work, that he can play as long as he wants, and he stops when he's ready, when he wants to rest.
Cool.
Yeah, that feels really good. So now we're sitting in his living room, and I'm in the chair, and he's sitting on the sofa, and we're just laughing, having a normal conversation. Nothing is guarded. I'm not guarded against his words, and he's not spinning his wheels trying to think of things to say to hurt me.
Right.
You know, just talking.
Just talking normally. Good. Bring that feeling inside your mind. And notice how your neurons are creating new pathways as you experience it. And send it to every single cell in your body. It's all held on a cellular level. Bring it up into your heart. Watch your heart fill up with that bright light for this new memory. Take your subconscious, submerge it in your heart, and tell it, thank it for working so hard to keep the old memory alive for so long. And tell it it's okay. You have better tools now, and you're using them to create a better life for you both. And that you needed to change all memories before this memory and all memories after this memory to fit this new memory that you've just created.
That being able to relax, just relax. I've never really been able to do that, especially not on an ongoing basis. Always had to be on guard. And it started with him.
Right.
So to be able to be there with him and talk to him and not have to worry about saying something that would trigger him to insult me. So just be able to talk to my dad as an adult. And talk about the flowers in the yard, or just nice.
Good. Okay, I think this is a good place to stop.
Yeah.
And we'll check in next week and see what amazing shifts you found and what loose ends we still need to clean up over there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Normally, after a session, I feel calm, but I feel relaxed.
Good.
And it's different.
Good.
I don't feel edgy. So, thank you.
Pleasure. So until next week, love you.
Adios. Love you too. Bye-bye.